Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Cardsphere.com as well as Boxfield.com, and we'll take a look at them later on in this video. So John P. recently sent me a dealer's choice donation deck list to kind of do whatever I wanted with, and I'm super high on trying out these initiative cards right now. In a couple of recent videos, White Plume Adventurer as well as Seasoned Dungeoneer have really shown their strength. Today I'm going to be trying something that is either really good or really janky, and that's Radiant Solar. Now, this is another creature that allows you to venture into the dungeon, which is very similar to taking the initiative. Now, one thing, taking the initiative allows you to go into the Undercity, which is a fourth dungeon. This dungeon is more powerful than the three original dungeons. If you would venture into a dungeon and you don't currently have one of those active, you are given the option of the original three. But if you venture while you're already in the good one, which is the Undercity, you will just progress one room through it. So the idea of this deck list is take the initiative, get into the good dungeon, and then use Radiant Solar's discard ability to venture through a room and gaining one life, which is going to be worth a card worth of value in most cases. Especially since, like, if you can accelerate to Throne of the Dead 3 and, like, rip through your top cards and make a giant creature, it's gross. Similarly, activating Trap early on and draining your opponent for 5 is very powerful. This deck is going to look a little different from some of the ones that we've played already. This one is going for the full playset of City of Traders and is not opting for Cavernous Souls. If you take a quick look at the creature types here, we're sort of all over the place with Core Artificers, Angels, Human Warriors, Orc Clerics. Cavern is going to be a bit of a stretch in this deck list. And we're also fully maximizing Lotus Petal to take advantage of getting into the dungeon as quickly as possible. This deck list comes to us from PVDH on Twitter, who has brewed many of the decks that have made their way onto this channel. I'm playing 74 of his 75. He played, I believe it's called Adventurer's Pack, which is an equipment that allows you to take the initiative, but I wasn't super in love with that, and I replaced that with a just trusty Batterskull. This deck also features one new card from the Brothers War, Lauren of the Third Path, which I expect to be a D&T staple moving forward, as the deck has always wanted a Reclamation Sage effect. Cathar Commando was close. And this is one that can be Karakas'd back to your hand so that you can reuse it. While this deck list doesn't play Spirit of the Labyrinth, if you're playing Spirit of the Labyrinth, this is really strong in conjunction with that. And at this point, since I've played a handful of initiative decks recently, I think I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the matches and see how they feel. I might have a commander stream in a couple hours that I have to get ready for, so we're going to try to turbo through this league. If you're new here and you like what you see today, please consider subscribing for more content, and there's 2 other initiative decks already on the channel, maybe 3 actually by the time this one goes live. And if you're a regular, throw me a like before the video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. Alright, what am I looking at here? Chrome Mox, maybe Imprint, Radiant Solar, Plains, Chalice, 3 mana turn 2, not quite start anything off immediately. This hand might be good enough to keep still though. It's not overly impressive, but it's probably good enough. Forgot to swap out my Plains. Man. Alright, Preordain. Generally speaking, when I see a Preordain, my mental, like, compass, that's not quite the right word. My mental tracking leans in the direction of this is an unfair deck. I love that draw. Let's imprint this. I'm always playing this. I think I start on Chalice and then make Thalia my play next turn. If my opponent is playing something like Show and Tell, the Thalia is more impactful. Alright, Chalice has resolved. Okay, Bloodstained Mire. We could be playing against Grixis Control deck list then. Okay, we're seeing a fetch. Current thing I'm thinking to myself is whether or not I'm shocking myself to play Imeria's Call. I think the answer is no. I don't think I'm playing around days here. My opponent just like played a Thoughtseize into it. Chalice maybe means they're fueling a Gurmag Angler. Or alternatively, this could be like an Ad Nauseam Tendrils type deck, and just Chalice and Athalia is just too backbreaking. I think I'm gonna assume that my opponent is playing combo. A weird concession if you're playing control there. I think I misread on my like Gurmag Angler Murktide Regent type thing. If we're playing against combo, I want this, this, and these are probably defensible. Playing against combo. Oh, sorry. Good old Mindbreak Trap. Get in here. I don't really need Jitte. Radiant Solar is probably the weakest of a lot of this stuff from there. Just hard to hardcast. And I can win the game with a metaphorical ham sandwich if I can make it to the point where my opponent has been locked out by a couple of cards. So if my read is wrong and this is a control deck, losing these is kind of a big deal because this is just a hard castable, annoying end game card. But I think against control, I can probably lean on my other cards to do some serious work. Palace of the Void and Mindbreak Trap. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see what my opponent is up to. I imagine it's some sort of Thoughtseize effect, yeah. One of these two cards is going. I would probably take the Chalice if I was the opponent. You can find another discard spell later to answer Mindbreak Trap, but in reverse, that's not nearly as true. I just straight up cast a Batterskull on turn 2. Am I good with that timeline? Probably better than playing this out this turn. Yeah. Let's assume turn 2 Batterskull's pretty hot. Okay. Land drops are very much indicative of Storm. One top, one bottom there. A Chalice of the Void. I'm interested in that card. I'm more interested in that than just slamming Batterskull. On 1? Probably on 1 here. Specifically because putting it on 1 protects my Mindbreak Trap from a discard spell. Very nice. Sure. Alright, we're chilling. We're Batterskulling. And Batterskull is kind of a pain in the butt because it is going to recoup all the life that I've lost from Ancient Tomb and kind of make it harder and harder for my opponent to storm out. Yep. Crash in for my 4. I'm back to 20. I'm making an ad nauseum slowly worse. This is a May, right? Oh my god, this isn't a May? Oh no, it's up to. Okay. Yeah, okay. Up to is fine. Sorry, had a baby heart attack there for a second. And I don't really need the second City of Traders. I'm just going to go ahead and play out this land, and then I can drop a new city. Still have 3 mana up for Batterskull Bounce if that's a thing that I need to do. Going to be a very fast clock. Lethal next turn. 6 damage here. Put my opponent to 7. Play Stoneforge. Stoneforge Kaldra, very much lethal next turn. Although it's possible it's a mistake to just not get Jitte this turn. 6 damage puts my opponent to 7. Yeah. Stoneforge. Yes. Kaldra. I'll pass the turn with the ability to bounce Batterskull, and we technically can draw a card with Lauren, although I don't think we actually want to do that. We won our first game in short order without the initiative, I believe. Today's video is sponsored by Cardsphere.com. Cardsphere is a service that allows you to buy, sell, and most importantly, trade your Magic cards with other people and game stores from around the world. As you can see here, they are doing a lot of business. They only take a very small fee, 3%, and if you decide you want cash instead of cards, you can also get paid out via PayPal for a small cut. P.S. They also have articles, so please consider checking them out. Okay, I have a turn 2 seasoned Dungeoneer, no impressive turn 1 play. I think that's fine. My opponent has revealed a Yorion to start off the game. I'm probably not going to be interested in playing a turn 1 Thalia against an opposing Yorion. I think seasoned Dungeoneer is just going to be better. My opponent says, lol, I'm watching the Mono White Stompy video right now. I'm so hyped for Initiative. Wonder if my opponent's playing a Yorion version of Initiative. That's the next deck I'm gonna record. Although I don't think I'm going to release all the initiative decks in a row. Ooh, a Volcanic Island. That makes me slightly more interested in wanting to play Thalia immediately. I might slow this game down and play Thalia on turn 2. I think this is just going to be Plains Pass. My opponent's probably on some variety of 4-color control. Alright, so now the question is, how do I want to play this out? I think I want to do this and play out Thalia and kind of force some initial responses from my opponent and just make it ever so slightly more likely that Seasoned Dungeoneer resolves next turn. If Seasoned Dungeoneer resolves, I can venture in, get my basic land, and then discard Radiant Solar to immediately go to Forge to put 2+1/+1 counters on Thalia and just kind of rumble in with a bigger body. This is a Prismatic Ending, a card that kind of interestingly can avoid the Thalia attacks in some ways, because Prismatic Ending looks at the number of colors spent on it, not necessarily the normal converted mana cost amounts. So we're jamming. I jam, this probably gets countered, and then I jam Radiant Solar next turn. Okay, there's Force pitching Force of Negation. Now this is my opponent's turn 4. So they're down some land drops, but that does mean that they have gas. Do they have enough gas to reach the stars? Or some corny shit like that. Cast. And I think I'm willing to take the extra damage to myself here since I have a Batter Skull. No! That's okay. Like, if my opponent is missing these land drops and is not getting to play cool things like Teferi, Exhibit A, I get a lot of value with my Batter Skull. But here we are. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think this is the first time I'm ever going to cast one of these. I think a Ganja is a real land. Alright. I think I can save this Lotus Petal. Let's make some angels. I have probably played like 20 leagues with this card or something crazy like that. That's the first time I've actually cast one. Alright, I lose one. See if I can kill the other. Or if my opponent has found another removal spell. Could be Minsc and Boo, which will spiral this game out of control pretty quickly. Sylvan Library. That's not too bad. Although that Swords to Plowshares is pretty rough. Do I have enough mana to do both? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Easily. So White Plume. Take the initiative. Gets me a basic. Play a basic. Loop a Batter Skull onto the board. And board looks pretty good. Not that my opponent's board isn't. This Sylvan Library is going to do a lot of work in digging them out of their current situation. But if I were to just fully attack them, they are dead in 2 turns. I'm very unsure about whether or not I'm supposed to attack the Teferi. Okay, they're taking some damage here. For a Life from the Loam, sure. They can make another land drop. Now my opponent can play some stuff at instant speed. Endurance isn't a thing that could happen. Prismatic Ending for X is 1 to get rid of a Germ, or X is 3 to get rid of White Plume Adventurer is a thing that could happen. I'm always going to Forge. Think I'm interested in this? I think I'm interested in this. Seasoned Dungeoneer. Well, I think I play that pre-combat. Pretty likely to resolve. Yeah. So my opponent's early Force of Wills were brutal, but we see just like the swings in power here. I'm probably going to board basically nothing for this matchup. Maybe that's not true. The cards that I can board aren't particularly strong. But it may be that something like Uro is enough of a pain in the ass that I just do something like this, wherein this can also get like potential endurance type cards out of the way. Even Mind Sensor and Spirit of the Labyrinth are defensible. I could probably get away with not playing Chalice. My opponent's going to have a bunch of stuff that just like ignores it or gets rid of it just incidentally. So if I get rid of these, that gets me these Swords to Plowshares. Not really interested in Jitte. That gets me one more early gameplay. And I think I want an Aven Mind Sensor. I don't know that I want to shave a piece of mana for it. Maybe I'll shave a Thalia for it. That's okay. Like, it slows me down a little bit, but I think that's worth it. Auto Mulligan, not enough mana. Whereas this is totally reasonable. I think Solitude is probably the least exciting card here. And we'll just, like, start by trying to play a fair Stoneforge Mystic game, maybe, and try to turn it into something more. Oh. Turn 1 Stoneforge. Lotus Petal. And my Stoneforge here, its sole mission in life is to attempt to get a counterspell or removal spell out of my opponent's hand. Yes, I will use this ability. I still think I will find the Cauldron. It just makes this more threatening to answer. Ooh, no immediate Swords to Plowshares. Okay. This feels like it's going to be Prismatic Ending to me. There's the white mana for it. And I am indeed correct, it is Prismatic Ending. Ooh, how do I feel about that? I am fine with doing that. An awkward card for my opponent, because, like, I'm threatening to protect it with Karakas. Where, in reality, I just want this to be bait for White Plume Adventurer. Ooh, tapped land. Very nice for me. Alright, let's battle. I think I misplayed. It's maybe fine. I only misplay if this thing resolves. I assume it very much doesn't. Yeah. Alright. Good stuff. I've got a slightly annoying Thalia, but cards like Endurance start coming online in this turn cycle. So I'm actually a little reliant on the top of my deck here. Oh, did I actually explain my misplay? I don't think I did. So if I play White Plume Adventurer and it resolves, I can then venture one deeper with Radiant Solar to put +1/+1 counters on this and get deeper with my attack. Or deal more damage with my attack. Yeah. I will do a post-combat Radiant Solar, which will expose a Thalia to removal, but that's kind of whatever. Alright, opponent goes to 13. Owie. And I'm just playing 6 drops in Legacy out here. Oh, right, I have to actually pick one of these. Wrapped Entry, maybe? I don't know, Scrying's pretty good right now. Do the Tomb of Annihilation, though. Mutually Assured Destruction. Alright, life totals are low. And now, whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under my control, I get to venture deeper. Okay, cool. No Instep, Ice Fang Coatl, or another flash creature that could threaten to really mess up my turn. Ooh, Solitude's nice. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'll just kind of be holding up Solitude as insurance here. Yeah. Ooh, we are seeing movement. What do you got? Oh. Sure. So, would I like to venture here? I don't think I would, because my opponent's going to make a creature. Well, maybe make a creature on their turn. Alright. Go to 10. Pass the turn with Solitude available. Unsure if I actually want to cast this or not. It's the difference between a very large and a... Ooh. That's a hamster friend. But I have a Karakas in play. Meaning that that's a lot less scary. So basically, as soon as I get priority, I'm gonna kill this thing. Nope. So goodbye, creature. Okay, yeah, this is fine. My opponent has 1 card left, and I'm about to Solitude this token away. Although, this does pain me a little bit. By Samurai. Opponent's at 12. If I rip a land, I just have Cauldron. That's technically a land. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This will be the 8th mana. It'll be 5, 8, 9, 10 damage if I don't kill Minsc and Boo. I don't know that it's worth dealing this much damage to myself to get the Cauldron into play. And then accidentally just dying to some sort of Lightning Bolt direct damage effect. Yeah, I think I saved the Cauldron for next turn. I don't know. With the Solitude in play, it's not super risky. Alright, attack Minsk and Boo. Attack you. Minsk and Boo dies during first strike. Then I do my regular damage. I'll just play this tapped. Call it a turn. Holding the Cauldron makes me better versus some sort of Terminus or Supreme Verdict type card. Narset is fine. Let's see what they find. A Force of Will. So they could now Force of Will this Cauldron. They Force of Will, neither one of these creatures can be destroyed in combat. Seems sort of like I play Seasoned Dungeoneer this turn, though. Have that eat the Force of Will, and then just have this haste damage next turn. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. And see if this resolves. Okay, it does not. All according to plan. Solitude kills Narset. Thalia attacks my opponent. Opponent is facing down lethal damage again next turn. Alright, what do you have? Alright, plane cycling is not bad here. That allows my opponent to make their land drop and then return this to play as a 4/4. Yep, you are eternalized. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hardcast Cauldron. And we have gotten the GGs from our opponent. This deck feels really strong. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website for Magic the Gathering, and they have a ton of functionality just beyond building decks. So for example, let's say you're making a whole bunch of changes to your deck list while you're at work and you want to goldfish your deck over your lunch hour, you can do so via Moxfield. You can tap your lands, you can play your cards, draw, even view your entire library if you need to. So please consider checking out this website. They support my content. Alright, round 3. We're 2-0. Haven't dropped a game yet. So the way this hand would play out, if I keep it, it's Chrome Mox, pitch Solitude, play Karakas, play Jitte on turn 1, Seasoned Dungeoneer on turn 2. Probably worth keeping. It's not like the hand is amazing, though. Ooh. Please, spend a turn playing a Chalice, friend. Yeah, my opponent randomly tanked for a while. I don't really know why. I might end up putting this under the Chrome Mox, depending on what I draw. Solitude is probably going to be good against... Ooh! Oh shit, yeah, I'm probably keeping this now. So let's Chrome Mox. Imprint this. Play this. And, we're going to work towards just jamming a Cauldron down my opponent's throat. Which should be disgustingly good in most situations here. We'll probably learn very quickly whether or not my opponent is playing like a traditional Moon Stompy decklist or whether they're on some category of other bullshit. They are absolutely on other bullshit. This is indicative of like the Narset Echo of Eons Stompy style decklist. So let's do this. Pay 2 mana. Cast a Jitte. Activate a Stoneforge. Put in a Cauldron. Go to combat. Cauldron fucks. Opponent's gonna go to 13. Ancient Tomb is the thing that's gonna happen. And I have a Solitude available for if my opponent plays Hull Breacher into LED Echo. But this is an absolutely insane amount of pressure. Okay, it's my turn again. Play this as a land? Hey, I'm using that to pitch to Solitude. So I can play Seasoned Dungeoneer and Jitte equip while still holding this up. That seems fine. Probably even good. Alright. No, I guess the other way first. Alright, attempt Seasoned Dungeoneer. Oh, I don't really need to do this pre-combat, do I? None of my stuff's the right creature types. Not used to that. We'll Jitte equip on my first strike thing. And Stoneforge can't be plainly blocked by a Hull Breacher. Though it does make a bounce spell slightly better against me in this exact turn cycle. Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, or Wizard. Nope. Oh, it still targets on itself. That's not supposed to happen. Okay, there's a bounce spell. Again, though, if opponent's using their turn like that, I'm not actually worried. I'll just bin that. Yeah, this is not supposed to do that. I'm not complaining as it's good for me, but it's just like not incorrect. Or sorry, it is not correct. Thought that had been hot fixed. I'm wrong. Okay, so we're playing against this Narset Echo Stompy deck list. I'm not super interested in my chalices, as my opponent is a chalice deck. So at minimum, I want to find 4 cards to bring in. It could just be Swords to Plowshares for Hull Breachers. It can be Spirit of the Labyrinth. I don't think I am interested in this. Lauren is playable. This is probably what I would evaluate it as. I'm not overly excited about Jitte, but onboard Jitte counters can help protect me. Haven Mind Sensor has Flash, is interesting. I think I'm more interested in trying to kill my opponent than I am interested in trying to do this stuff. I could cut 3 of these and then play all of these cards. Keep 1, potentially sub in Deafening Silence. Deafening Silence doesn't do a lot to stop the combo, but it really impacts my opponent's ability to do cool shit after they successfully execute their combo. I think I'll probably play that. I'm not very excited about it. I'm not overly excited about this hand, but I think it's worth keeping. I can hold up a turn 1 Swords to Plowshares. On turn 2, I play Spirit of the Labyrinth. Oh. Sure, that's fine. That's also fine. Okay, yep. Solitude's not bad. It's not fantastic either, but I've got an okay set of tools here to play this game. More planning on dealing with combo with this exact hand. I think I don't go for the initiative immediately. Just like a little bit awkward versus this onboard spell bomb. I also don't really want to play out the City of Traitors immediately. Go ahead and play out a Spirit of the Labyrinth. I have Solitude as an oh shit button if it looks like things are going to get bad. Opponent's going to make a 3/3 for now at end step. I don't think I want a Solitude immediately. I think I'm willing to give my opponent a little bit more life so that they make their decisions not knowing that I have the Solitude. I think that's valuable. If I win this game, I'm probably going to win it by a whole lot. Are we gonna... Oh, Dismember. This is the point where I cast a Solitude. This is probably the point where I cast the Solitude. Junk the Imaria's Call. Ooh, Force of Will. Okay, sure. Take some damage this turn. I go to 15. I can play White Plume. I can play White Plume while holding up Swords to Plowshares. And then I can play Seasoned Dungeoneer next turn. That sounds nice. Kind of see if I can wiggle into a spot where I don't lose the initiative. So I think that's tough. I'm not too worried about giving my opponent a basic island. Guess another Force of Will would kind of suck. But it is what it is. Oh, it is another Force of Will. I believe I have to take the full 10 here. I'm going to have a reasonable chance at taking over this game. Go get your island. Okay. Like Gonjo. Not bad. Not really what I want right now, though. Alright. So let's do this. I take the initiative. It allows me to forge immediately. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on my White Plume Adventurer, which is able to attack this turn. Yeah. So now I'm basically deterministically dead. Like, my opponent attacks with both creatures, and then Trap happens, and I get drained. Or no, Forge happens next turn. I currently have the initiative. Okay, I'm not deterministically dead. I'm just very close to deterministically dead. Oh no, another Dismember? Okay, well, that's fine. I'm more or less boarded how I want to be boarded. Although if my opponent plays an Urza Saga mid-range plan, like, this is more reasonable than if they play a combo hand. Yeah, I don't want the Deafening Silence. Play one of those. Sure, let's do that. This seems like a mulligan. Like I can play a Lauren on turn 1. That's not winning me the game like an initiative would. So let's ship this. Chromox, Imprint Solitude, play Aganjo and Lotus Petal, play Thalia. Top decking any mana source means that I have turn 2 Seasoned Dungeoneer with Thalia attacking in. I think that is better than going to 5. But this does not feel good. Chromox, Imprint Solitude, play Petal, and then drop this. So any land is a great draw. A 3-mana initiative card is a great draw. A Stoneforge Mystic is a good draw. A Thalia is a good draw. Yeah, I think this hand has enough good draws that I'm okay most of the time. Double Force of Will beat me. Okay, yeah, Stoneforge Mystic is fantastic here. And I'll pick up Caldra. The worst against Dismember, but it's best against any hand that does not have Dismember. The Caldra will just get in play before something like an Otawara can be relevant. Okay, there's the land drop. I have to decide whether or not I want to just play Seasoned Dungeoneer instead of Caldra. I think I do want to just resolve Seasoned Dungeoneer. My opponent didn't have a counterspell last turn, so seems like this is pretty likely to resolve. Yep. Alright, pick this up. Go to combat. Attack with Stoneforge. Seasoned Dungeoneer triggers on itself for some unknown reason. The next turn, I use 2 mana to put in... I'm just going to use this, conceptually. I use 2 mana to put in my equipment. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana remaining. I can Jitte equip next turn. That's probably an above average draw, given circumstances. Alright, opponent's at 18. And Seasoned Dungeoneer is now outside of immediate range of dying. 4 mana, Otawara it back to my hand. Okay. Echo would be very good here. It is an Echo. Sure. I've picked up a Solitude, and my opponent doesn't have mana here. Oh, okay, there's some mana. There's some more mana. Uh-huh. Alright, and we're chilling. Alright, so I get to go to the Forge here. Oh, I fucked up. Could have put in... Or no, I couldn't put in. I was getting ahead of myself. We'll still Forge. I've got a bigger creature. I'm about to get Trap active, which is nice. So, we've got a lot going on. We're going to go 2 mana for a new Stoneforge Mystic. As resolved. Say yes. Get the Cauldra again. 2 mana. Activating this, putting in the Cauldra. Deal 5 damage to my opponent. So that puts them to 13. And I think it's fine to use the Lotus Petals to then play White Plume Adventurer. And I will get to drain my opponent for 5 here. With Trap. Putting them to 8. And I have 1 removal spell active, but 2 removal spells in hand. So let's untap my token. And you may have an Urza Saga Construct token as a treat. I've got Hull Breacher covered, which is like the scariest thing that could happen right now. And my opponent doesn't have enough cards in hand to like Force of Will plus execute a combo. Alright, what are we working with? Arn the Great Creator. Alright. What do you have that I care about? I beat Lattice. You could bridge. Probably just beat a bridge. Ooh, a Day's Undoing just went to the yard. Yeah, that's a bridge. Actually, they can't really cast that Day's Undoing, right? Yeah, they can't really cast that. So I get to draw a card here. It is a Thalia. My stuff doesn't get to attack. I probably just venture into the dungeon as hard as I possibly can. And plan on just trapping my opponent twice. This gives me Throne of the Dead 3. Which actually could just find Lauren and kill my opponent here. Oh, hey, it's Lauren. Isn't that convenient? Goodbye, Ensnaring Bridge. Yeah, there's the match. We're 3-0. Good stuff. Okay. I have a hand of magic cards here. I think that's the best way to describe this hand. Like, I can just play a tapped Amaria's Call on turn 1 into Stoneforge on turn 2. It's fine. I don't know that it's taking the best advantage of my hand. I think I'm going to sit here and think about this one for a second. I don't think I'm willing to keep this one. If my opponent is on, like, an opposing initiative style deck, I just don't think I'm aggressive as them. If they're on a control deck, I don't know that I have enough gas here. And if they're on a combo deck, I don't have a hate card. So I think it's a reasonable mix of lands and spells that I can just do better on a 6 with. This is a better 6, although I'm going to be awful. Absolutely awful versus a Wasteland. So I think my turn 1 play is obligatory. I can't play Thalia first, because then I lock myself out of Chalice of the Void. So this is putting a Stoneforge under and dropping the Chalice on turn 1. And I probably follow up with Thalia from there, especially if we are playing against a blue deck. That's a Preordain, and again, when I see Preordain, my internal legacy meter ticks towards my opponent being a combo deck. So maybe Show and Tell, Storm, Doomsday, something in that general ballpark. Oh, that's pretty much the perfect draw, because that allows me to play 2 spells in 1 turn. So I can play Thalia, and now my opponent cannot Force of Will or Daze from here, which means that this gets to pick up Kaldra and threaten an incredibly fast kill. So, big fan of my current situation. I'm currently quite favored. Okay, I'm quite favored versus a combo deck, to clarify. If my hunch was wrong and my opponent was just a control deck and they just removed the Stoneforge Mystic, I'm sitting there like a turtle on my back. I think I'm gonna board for combo. I'm just getting those vibes, which probably involves playing these cards, and then these are things that I can consider. I will rip this Jitte from my deck. I probably board all of these out. That gives me 1 of these cards. I think I'm just going to play the Mind Break before I know whether or not my opponent is playing Lotus Petals and Chrome Moxes and Wish Claws and such. Lauren becomes a lot worse. Yes. While I don't like the Kaldra here, I like most of the rest of the stuff. Although my turn 1 sequencing is really fucking weird. As Deafening Silence is symmetrical, each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell each turn. So I can't play it followed by Chalice, despite the fact that I would really love to do that. I'm going to cast Chrome Mox before playing my land. I think this is a situation where I imprint the White Plume, so they specifically do have this Kaldra in hand. Now I make a choice. I think it's Deafening Silence, because if Deafening Silence does get Force of Willed, I can play Chalice afterwards. But now I can't play this. So again, there's some degree of awkwardness there. But this stops Ritual into Doomsday, and I am leaning towards Doomsday right now as the deck that my opponent is playing. This feels like Thalia rather than Chalice, because that buys me another turn from a Doomsday being cast, and starts to get a clock into play. Alright. Oh. Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Wasn't really expecting that. Is this still Doomsday? It is still Doomsday. So my preferred draw is land, so that I can play Chalice of the Void on X=2 and steal a win. Okay. Well, I didn't draw a land. I've got Mentors. I don't see Street Wraiths in here. Don't know what the exact Esper Doomsday configuration is. I don't see a Lotus Petal. My opponent could have a Lotus Petal as their way to get their 2nd blue mana. I also don't see a Cavern, notably. Not a Brainstorm in their pile. Not a Ponder in their pile, so Chalice on 1 is not looking hot. There is potentially a Swords to Plowshares in the pile if they play the full 4. I think I just play Stoneforge this turn and don't play Chalice. I think ripping the land if my opponent doesn't go for it immediately, and then playing Chalice on 2 is how I win this. I don't think Chalice on 1 wins me this game. It might buy me a turn or two, but I don't think it wins me the game in any circumstances. Alright. Stoneforge has resolved. I'll pick up the Batterskull, call it a turn. What do you have? A Teferi, sure. Bounce the Stoneforge, that's fine. Okay. See, this is cruel. Because I have the ability to cast a Chalice of the Void on X equals 2. And I sure as hell can't because of my own Deafening Silence. I will play my Lotus Petal. I will use this to play Seasoned Dungeoneer. And this gives me a different source of white mana that I can use to play Chalice next turn. And we'll see if I make it through this turn. Alright, there's a Petal. Alright, there is the Oracle. Yep. I mean, I knew what I needed to do to win this game. I just couldn't quite do it. So I don't think I'm going to bring in any answers to Swords to Plowshares, any answers to Monastery Mentor specifically. It's one of in my opponent's deck list, and I have some Solitudes already, and some other things that can just kill through it. So I think I'm comfortable with this. I've seen how much artifact mana my opponent has, so I'm not really interested in Lauren. Yes. I will need to draw a threat, but this hand's pretty good. Opponent's going very deep with mulligans here. I believe I'm supposed to lead on Chalice, because I can resolve Chalice into Thorn, but I can't do it in the other direction. If I had a Soul Land, I would play Thorn of Amethyst on turn 1, I think. Alright. My opponent mulligan deep. We'll see how deep they went. They could have gone to Force of Will when they're on the draw. They did not. Okay. A threat is great, but I'm going to focus on lock pieces first. And when I feel like I have a slightly stronger grip on the game, I'll try to kill my opponent. Okay. What on earth is this going to be? Yeah, that is not going to do what you want. Okay, cool. I don't need to play around days or anything. Yeah, opponent says, right. Yeah, that's one that's easy to miss. Alright, so play that. Do not need to pay the life for it. There's a Stoneforge Mystic, which is resolving. Yep. Yeah, so my opponent mulliganed to 5 and then made a costly error, allowing me to easily win this one. And we are 4-0. Okay, my opponent has revealed a Yorion deck. I don't know if I'm supposed to keep this one. It's not taking advantage of me being on the play very well. Just plays like White Plume. I guess I can play turn 2 White Plume into double Stoneforge, assuming things resolve. Not too bad. So bad versus Wasteland. I'm gonna be kind of hoping my opponent's on a blue initiative deck here, rather than Death and Taxes, where they're just gonna have a pile of Wastelands and Rishadan Ports that make my life hell. Yes! Needed that. Romox. Am I playing around days? I don't think I'm playing around days. I don't think I'm playing around days here, after seeing Yorion. Alright, do this. Attempt a White Plume. I can still double Stoneforge next turn if this doesn't work. Are we resolving? We're not resolving. Pitching Muldrifter? I must be playing against some sort of Esper Vile Ephemerate type bullshit. Belflestrix? Oh shit. Okay. That is awkward for me. I mean, it's fine if I can take the initiative, which I'm not capable of doing immediately, but I can do in the not too distant future. I guess I could just do it if I drew. Okay, yeah, Esper. I just drew another Soul Land. Yeah. I could have 5 mana this turn. I don't really want 5 mana this turn. I think I'm skipping my land drop this turn. So let's go Chrome Mox, Imprint, Radiant Solar. Play a Stoneforge Mystic. Yes. Grab Cauldra. Play a second Stoneforge Mystic. Yes. Get Jitte with that one. And then on my turn, I can make my land drop, Solitude away the 4/5 White Plume Adventurer, and go on with my life. Or alternatively, I can put in, like, Aldra, equip it with Jitte, and go to town that way. Source of Plowshares is definitely in this deck. Ooh, they're going for the Scry here. And I don't know if that's inexperience, or if that's a lot of experience. So, like, my default is always go down the left side if I have a creature, because, like, Forge into Trap is so incredibly aggressive. But my opponent might really struggle to beat some of these cards. So, like, that's not a part of their plan. Meddling Mage resolves. Naming White Plume Adventurer. Sure. So I can just put in a Caldra here. I don't have 6 mana, I have 5 mana. I can use 2 mana to put in Caldra, attack with Caldra, get the initiative, cast a Jitte. Maybe just cast another Stoneforge, or I maybe actually just put in Jitte uncounterably. I think I don't want to cast this. I think I want to hold this in case Solitude becomes relevant. Ugh, okay. Activate. Put in the Caldra. Activate Sorcery Speed, put in the Jitte. Go to combat. Crash in with this. Hit my opponent for 5. We'll start taking the initiative. Grabbing a Plains. I don't think I need to Solitude anything here. I don't think I need to play a land drop here either. Yeah, we'll just chill. My Jitte probably does a pretty good job of taking over this game. Okay, Recruiter is scary. Ooh, my opponent is finding a Solitude. Okay. What on earth is Angel of the Ruins? Oh, it's this thing. Sure. Targeting the Germ. Okay. Cool. And my opponent is not attacking, which actually leaves me with the initiative. So that may be a mistake. Especially since, like, White Plume can just untap itself. Oh, my opponent doesn't really understand the venture thing. Oh, the initiative thing. Alright. So I will forge. Put it on one of my stone forges. I've got a Lotus Petal. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 total mana. I can Solitude if I want. I can Cauldra equip if I want. I can Jitte equip if I want. Always casting this Lotus Petal. Let's get that out of the way. I can't play Solitude, hard casting it, and then also get Jitte equip in. Countered a second ago. I have 6 mana this turn. I could play a Stoneforge Mystic as a bait here. It threatens to put in a Batterskull as well. A lot of value. Yes, I think I like that. Let's cast a new Stoneforge. Yes, I'll use this ability. Get a Batterskull. Need to make my land drop now. And sacrifice that city. Tap a Chrome Mox. Equip the Jitte to, air quotes, the good one. And use the bad one to put in Batterskull. Alright. Game has been incredibly complicated. Okay, I am fine doing this like this. Let's deal some combat damage. I will get some Jitte counters. And I will just get to put in a Batterskull. Seems like I'm in a good spot. Like, there's a Yorion coming in the not-too-distant future. But I've got the initiative well defended. Yes. Ooh, okay. One more W. One more W. I get a sweet trophy. So, these 5 cards are slam dunks. Haven Mind Sensor is reasonable. Spirit of the Labyrinth is reasonable. Not interested in any of the rest of this stuff. I'm probably not going to play Chalice of the Void. So my opponent is likely to have 4 Swords to Plowshares, 4 Brainstorms as the primary things that this can hit. Like, there's other things that could be there, but that's kind of what I'm expecting. I think Chalices can safely go out for 4 removal spells, and then I have 3 more slots that I can mess around with. I don't think I'm pulling any of my equipment, although some of this stuff is a little worse here against all my opponent's random bounce nonsense. How are my Thalias? Just first strikers? Radiant Solar is a little hard on mana here. I could see myself doing this. I could also see going down some Thalias. Thalia just stops a lot of chip damage, though, which matters with Ancient Tomb. I've also wasted a good amount of time tanking between my initial opening hand and one of my tough plays, so, like, that's something that I'm very much going to have to keep in mind here. My hand is very good against, like, not Force of Will. You can make it all in turn 2 Seasoned Dungeoneer, but I think with double Chrome Box, I would rather just mulligan this hand. Okay. I'd probably keep this pitching the Gut Shot and go turn 1 Stoneforge, turn 2 Seasoned Dungeoneer. Sorry, Gut Shot. Like, I think you're legitimately good in this matchup. Like, it is a strong tempo play in my direction. Yes. Play Chrome Box. Solitude goes under here 100% of the time. Do I slow roll this hand, or do I just play White Plume into Seasoned Dungeoneer? I think I YOLO. It's a very, very, very strong YOLO, and my opponent's unlikely to have 2 Force of Wills. My opponent just said crazy, haha. Yeah, friend, it is. This got banned to all hell in Pauper. I can't imagine how good this was in Pauper. Like, this is insane. Oh, baby. Forge. Take some +1/+1 counters. Opponent did. Oh! Nice. 2 mana. Land drop. 3 mana, 4 mana. Seasoned Dungeoneer. Nice. I'll take the initiative. Again. Trap my opponent, which drains them for 5. That puts them to 15. I will crash in for 5, maybe 6. White Plume is now pro creatures. Okay, that's fine. My opponent gave me more life than they needed to, and they also are letting me... Oh, neat. That does... Okay, so that loses its trigger. So the trigger gives it protection, and then it explores afterwards. Okay, that's fine. Okay. What do you have for me? Like, my Seasoned Dungeoneer is just going to get in versus creatures. So, like, this is going to have protection from creatures. So, this doesn't actually stop me from getting in. I would love to draw a Soul Land to just play another Seasoned Dungeoneer right now. Oh. Oh! Yes. Play a Ganjo. Play Chrome Mox. I'm imprinting Solitude. I will play another Seasoned Dungeoneer. Can't stop, won't stop. This gives me Throne of the Dead 3, which is gonna look real deep. Just White Plume Adventurer, just start again right now. I think that's better than Spirit. Oh, holy hell. So take it again, go back into the Undercity, grab another land drop. I've made a land drop for the turn. Opponent has just said, like, wow in chat. Yeah. Alright. So attack with this. Is this protection from all creatures? Yeah. Yeah. GG's easy. Alright, we did it. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Good. Now, is this exact version the version that I want? No, I don't think I want to be playing Radiant Solar. Like, it's cute. It's a really cool trick. It's nice versus control decks, but it's just a little bit slow. So ultimately, I think this direction with Stoneforge is really good. It just gives you more immediate must-answer plays, but I think I would replace these with something else. Maybe some other 3-mana Hate Bearer, Archons, or maybe consider Spirit of the Labyrinths. But generally speaking, I really like this archetype. This is a lot of fun, and expect to see me play a lot more of this in the future. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. It really helps out a lot. If you have any thoughts on the deck list, I would love to hear them in the comments. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!